Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hockey Podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, podcast_hockey, facebook.com, the Hockey Podcast, youtube.com, the Hockey Podcast, and also subscribe to the audio as we go through, as we are just doing a recording today. Just myself flying solo. I was in the middle of a couple of other projects, and tonight as I was watching the game and needed to get that done. So I thought I'd just do a recording flying solo today to discuss the Flames defeating the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2 today. And we'll go through the stats and the summary of the game as the Flames have now won 4 in a row and are currently sitting in first place in the Pacific Division. But let's just go through the scoring here. Dylan Dubé scored it his second of the year at 119. It was a shot that Marc-Andre Fleury would like to have back, but Dubé scored, and it was 1-0. Before that, there was a hit from behind, Blake Coleman and Alex DeBrincat, that was not called. Kirby Dach took some exception to that. That's happened as well, and that I would give the fight win to Kirby Dach, but the Flames took advantage of the goal, of the mistake, and had a 1-0 lead. Now the Blackhawks tied it with a goal that I do think that Jacob Markstrom will probably want back. He was outside of his net a little bit, but Brandon Hagel has his sixth of the year from Ryan Carpenter and Reese Johnson. It was a good night if you're a Reese Johnson fan of the Red Deer Rebels. He had a good night, but probably a goal that Markstrom would want back for sure, that tied it at 1. And it's interesting because here's Fleury allowing a bad goal. Here's Markstrom allowing a goal that he would want back. And so we already have some early adversity in this game. The Flames coming off a marathon road trip, and you always, with these road trips, coming back home after them, it's always a little tough. But the Flames got off to I would say a bit of an uneven start, but they still tied at 1 halfway through the first. And then Milan Lucic, and I'm hearing the Luch is a little bit louder now in the Saddle Dome crowd when I'm watching. It's certainly, especially when he scored here. He's got his fifth at 13:06, made it 2-1 for the Flames, and that's the first period. And as we go down here to get to the second period, as here it's tied at 2, and it was it was Jacob Markstrom trying to give a pass to Elias Lindholm. Lindholm didn't control it, didn't have it. Markstrom took his time getting back to the net, and Reese Johnson scores his first National Hockey League goal. Reese Johnson is undrafted, played with the Red Deer Rebels in his junior career. He's been active since 2014, but a good night for a bit of a hometown kid here. Alberta boy Reese Johnson tied the game at 2, and 2 goals for sure that Markstrom would like to have had back, and probably not the best period for the Flames. They certainly seemed stumbly around a little bit. They weren't on their game in the first 2, and I wouldn't necessarily say that they were on the game full, but as the game went on, they just played their game, and that's what they seem to be doing here. Even when it's not going well, they're finding a way to come away with it. And Markstrom made a couple of big saves early as the period in the third period to keep it at 2. And then Matthew Tkachuk was trying to pass it to Johnny Gaudreau, and it went off Seth Jones. And the nightmare season for Seth Jones continues, and Fleury doesn't stop it, and it's 3-2. And that's essentially the game. There's an empty net goal. Trevor Lewis gets a second, and Devin was right. We talked about this yesterday. Trevor Lewis you're not going to look at Trevor Lewis as a franchise-altering player, but Trevor Lewis knows how to do his job, and he gets an empty net goal that Milan Lucic had the puck, but it was Lewis that got the goal. He sent it over, made sure that Lewis had that opportunity, and then Johnny Gaudreau added another one at 1934 to make it 5-2. So 2 empty net goals there. And as the shots on goal in the period, Calgary did outshoot Chicago 39-21. And the Blackhawks had 7 shots in the first, 8 in the second, 6 in the third. The Flames 13 in the first, 14 in the second, 12 in the third. The 3 stars picked in the were Rasmus Andersson, Matthew Tkachuk, and Milan Lucic. I wouldn't disagree with that from that sense at all. I've been just kind of going through some of the stats here as we go through here. The fourth line, especially that Richardson, Lucic, Lewis line, they didn't play a lot, but they did enough. As we look again, the Flames just seem to be getting awarded with players from all contributions all over the lineup, even if everyone is not sharp. Brad Richardson was a +2 with 1 assist. Milan Lucic was a +2, 3 shots on goal. Trevor Lewis, 4 shots on goal. Andrew Mangiapane today had 1 shot on goal. Wasn't one of his better nights. Matthew Backlund had 2 shots on goal. Johnny Gaudreau had 5. He was shaking and baking. Matthew Tkachuk had 4 shots. I thought Blake Coleman, he got into a fight. He got 2 shots on goal. I thought he played very well. When the Blackhawks pulled the goalie, there was an opportunity for the Hawks to get an opportunity, and Coleman found the way definitely to just knock the puck out of the line. The Flames are just doing the little things very well. Defensively, for the Flames, Chris Tanev had 4 shots on goal. Oliver Shillington did not get a point tonight. He had 1 shot on goal. Nikita Zadorov, he did not have a shot on goal. I was actually surprised to see Nikita Zadorov tonight. I would have thought we would have saw Juuso Valimaki for a second straight game. Didn't happen. So that story kind of continues a little bit there, the Zadorov Valimaki situation. I didn't think Zadorov and Gabranson, this was not one of their better nights. I thought at times the Hawks were able to pin them in the zone a little bit and take advantage of them. But the Flames were still able to come away. Rasmus Andersson was a +4, 2 assists. I know Rasmus Andersson doesn't, Rasmus Andersson is probably, Oliver Shillington has been the revelation, no question, with the Flames defense. But Rasmus Andersson has been so consistent this year, and he's just growing into that position. Can't say enough about, I don't think enough has been said about Rasmus Andersson and Elias Lindholm. I think those are 2 players within the Flames this year that have been a little bit underrated in terms of how well they played. I think Rasmus has played really well. He had a really strong game. And, Jacob Markstrom gets the win, 19 saves on 21 shots. And, again, the 2 goals, he probably would want both of them back, but he was able to make the key saves at the key time here. And that's, Daryl Sutter talked about it in the post-game show. That veteran experience, knowing what's going on in adverse times is being a little bit of a difference for the Flames. As the season goes on here, I don't think the Flames are going to be sneaking up on teams anymore. I think that the teams are going to start playing their best. Not that teams were not playing their best before, but they certainly caught the Bruins flat-footed a little bit on Sunday. They've caught a couple of teams a little bit flat-footed overall. So as this year goes on, we're going to see that adversity, and we're going to see the best, and we're going to see how they're dealing with adversity. I mean, they're not going to be at this rate, I don't think. I think everyone agrees that this is not sustainable, but if they can remain consistent on their route to the playoffs, that's what's going to matter. And learning and going through this and supporting each other, I think will be key, and conditioning as well. I mean, you talked about the marathon road trip. That was a huge theme within the Flames today. 9 games, 11 are, all the marathon road trip, 11 days, and then you play again. Now you have 3 days off. Assistant coach Cale McLean talked about that today as well. And, they're certainly conditioned better. They certainly seem to be more mature right now. Things are going, the Flames have bought into the Daryl Sutter system. And if I told you that right now the Calgary Flames have only 1 less goal than the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I don't think people would believe that, especially with Daryl Sutter hockey, but that is the case right now. So that good on the Flames. It's a good win for them, and they continue. They will play Saturday against Winnipeg. They have 3 days off, and they're in good shape right now. They have found money. They have points that they can put in their pocket, and that's a good thing when the playoff race becomes intense. Just to touch quickly on the Blackhawks here, not Marc-Andre Fleury's best night, but I think Reese Johnson, I mean, 2 points plus two. Kirby Dach got into the fight. He was a -3 +3, but I mean, certainly can't blame him. Patrick Kane, I thought was fairly invisible. I guess he had 5 shots on goal, but didn't think he was electric out there. Alex Brinkett -3. Jonathan Toews didn't score. And yeah, that team isn't great right now for sure. I know that you look back on Sunday playing the Blackhawks playing the Canucks. The Canucks felt they outplayed them. They're not getting a lot of shots. They didn't get a lot of shots in against Edmonton. They didn't get a lot of shots against Vancouver, and they're not they don't seem to be a high volume shot team right now. But the Blackhawks, they got off to a good start under Derek King, 4 in a row, but they have they're now 6-4 in the last 10, 2-7-1 on the road, 6-11-2 overall for 14 points, and wouldn't expect them to be a playoff team this year, but who knows what happens there. So the Blackhawks, in terms of the wild card part of this, they're tied with Vancouver at 6-11-2 with 19 games. So they are now 7 points behind Nashville, who holds that final wild card position. So a couple other things to talk about very quickly that happened in the NHL today that I wanted to touch on is Connor McDavid's point streak ended. The Dallas Stars beat the Edmonton Oilers today 4-1. It certainly didn't see the game. I'll have to watch a little bit later. From what I'm noticing from everybody else here, from Oiler fans on Twitter, is very angry at the officiating. But the point streak for Connor McDavid ends at 17. The Dallas Stars scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. Roope Hintz, Jason Robertson, Dennis Gurianov score, and the Stars continue on, and they are not off to a good start, but they were able to pull this victory off, and probably a win, I think, a big win for the Stars. I just get that last goal here. It was Luke Glendening that scored in the third to put the game away. Ryan McLeod in the second there scored for the Oilers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning shut out no, they did not. Sorry. They did beat the Flyers 4-0. Corey Perry scores. Andre Vasilevsky, 34 saves for that. So the Lightning win. You wonder about Alain Vigneault and the Flyers. You talk about coaches on the hot seat right now. And of course, we've talked a lot about Travis Green being on the hot seat for Vancouver. I wonder what Alain Vigneault is like here in Philadelphia. That's a team that made a lot of changes in the offseason. It's a team that had some expectations coming in. They're in a very tight division. 8-6-3 with 19 points is 17. 7th in the Metropolitan, but it's a very tough conference. They've lost 2 in a row. They're in a tough conference, but I think that there's some expectations in Philadelphia that you wonder if Vigneault, even though they're only 1 point out of a wild card spot, you wonder what's going to happen. I'm curious about Philadelphia, what's going on there. 4-4-2 in their last 10. So that will be that. Again, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have our news recap that we do, our daily news recap, and then we'll be recapping the Vancouver Canucks and Pittsburgh Penguins tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. So 2 more videos tomorrow. If you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe. I can follow Sean Beardy Canuck 03. Tyler is TNOBLE. Chris is Schneid's SCHNEIDZ, and Devin Gordhouse 09. I am KEVOLE. Podcast_hockey. Facebook.com The Hockey Podcast. YouTube.com The Hockey Podcast. And thanks for watching in this recording. And we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.